The soft whispers of students filled the sunlight corridor, the chatter echoing faintly against the old stone walls of the university. As the three girls lingered near their classroom, Lucy leaned closer, her eyes glinting mischievously. Do you know, Catherine, you missed all the drama yesterday. There was a huge scandal involving our physics professor. At Lucy's words, Wine glanced up and offered an awkward smile, sensing where the conversation was heading. Catherine, on the other hand, stared at Lucy with wide, astonished eyes, her heart pounding in sudden panic. About Professor June, what happened? Please, please tell me. Her voice was desperate, almost pleading. Betraying the depth of her infatuation, something both Lucy and Wine had always quietly noticed but never openly discussed. Yet, unknown to them, Wine carried a secret in her heart, one that weighed heavier with every passing day. Lucy chuckled seeing Catherine's eagerness and decided not to torture her any further. Well, yesterday, while you were away, some random girl from the second year batch proposed to Professor June right in front of everyone. She paused dramatically, watching Catherine lean in ever closer, hope flickering in her eyes. But he rejected her harshly, sad he's already married. The word struck Catherine like a thunderbolt. Her bright smile instantly faded, replaced by a stunned, almost broken expression. Wine's heart ached with sympathy for her friend, wishing she could shield her from the pain. What? He is married. Why didn't I propose to him first? She covered her face with her hands, letting out an exaggerated sob, her voice trembling in playful despair. Lucy, laughing, pulled her into a comforting hug. Oh, come on now, stop your drama, you crybaby. I'm sure you will find a husband even more handsome than Professor June. Catherine sniffled, dramatically pulling away with a pout. That professor, I'm so jealous of his wife. But what can I do? Fate is cruel. Mischievous glint in her eyes. Besides, he's not that handsome, right? Wine and Lucy exchanged amused glances and burst into soft laughter. The air around them felt lighter now, the earlier tension fading like mist under the sun. Come on, let's go before your not so handsome professor kicks us out of class again. No, I'm not getting locked out again. With a squeal, Lucy took off running down the hallway, her shoes squeaking against the polished floor. Hey, wait for me, she shouted, chasing after her, while Wine laughed, trailing behind them, her heart feeling lighter despite the secrets she still carried. The classroom buzzed with a low hum of conversations as students hurried to their seats, clutching their pens and notebooks anxiously. Thankfully, you and your friends managed to arrive just in time. The heavy wooden door creaked open and the room fell into an instant hush. Professor Jungkook stepped inside, his presence immediately commanding attention. He was dressed immaculately as always. A crisp, white dress shirt hugged his frame perfectly. The sleeves rolled up to reveal strong, veined forearms. A dark tailored waistcoat complemented his black slacks, and a sleek watch glinted supplely on his wrist. His hair, neatly parted, framed his sharp, almost ethereal features. Despite his striking appearance, his expression was serious, almost intimidating. With his dark eyes scanning the room as if daring anyone to step out of line, a man of discipline, and yet behind that stern facade, you alone knew the warmth he reserved for you. Today we have a full book test, he announced, his deep voice resonating through the silent room. So, how's the preparation? A heavy silence fell, not a single student dared to respond. Some shuffled awkwardly, others avoided eye contact. Alright then, he sat curtly, picking up a marker and turning to the whiteboard. He scribbled several complex questions with fluid, confident strokes, assigning each row a different set to prevent any possibility of cheating. The tension in the air was almost suffocating. Students began copying down their questions nervously. You quickly noted yours and bent over your notebook. Determination settling over you. Behind you sat Catherine, tapping her pen nervously against the desk. Beside you, unfortunately, was Grace, the girl who seemed to seethe every time you succeeded. Grace had always harbored a secret resentment toward you. Your name consistently appeared in the top three ranks. What's for her? The way Professor Jones paid attention to you, tutoring you patiently on difficult formulas in his private cabin, made her jealousy burn brighter. Of course, she didn't know the real truth. You were not just some brilliant student to him, you were his wife. A truth hidden carefully from everyone, buried under professional distance and stolen glances. You remembered yesterday, a flash of memory washing over you like a wave. You sat on the couch in Jungkook's small, neat study here, messy, and bro flowed in frustration. It's so difficult. You groaned, staring hopelessly at the dense numericals. Jungkook chuckled softly, pulling a chair beside you. You need to approach it like this. He sat effortlessly, writing down a complicated physics formula that seemed like ancient Greek to your tired mind. Apply this here, rearrange the terms, and substitute these values. You nodded, pretending to understand. Thanks, Jungkook, I will try again. Hours ticked by, midnight came and went, and you still had unsolved problems haunting your notebook. Finally, exhausted, you leaned your head against the table. Wake me up at 4 a.m., okay? I still need to finish some numericals. You mumbled, joyously. Hmm. He hummed, nodding as he stretched out beside you, and both of you fell into deep sleep. Next morning, 7:35 a.m., you jolted awake, the blinding sunlight assaulting your eyes, panic-sized your chest. Oh God, Jungkook, why didn't you wake me up? Across the room, Jungkook stood calmly in front of the mirror, brushing his dark hair back with effortless grace. I tried, he said flatly, you wouldn't get up. Not my problem. You gawked at him, horrified. But I still have numericals to solve. Still not my problem, he muttered, grabbing his watch from the table and leaving the room with a smirk, while you sat there in helpless frustration. Present in the test, the memory faded as you refocused on your paper. Jungkook was walking through the aisles, his sharp gaze like that of a hawk surveying his territory. As he passed Grace's desk, he remained engrossed in your answers, unaware of the sinister glance she shot at you. Grace quickly scribbled something on a tiny scrap of paper, then slyly flicked it under your chair when Jungkook's back was turned. You were too busy solving to notice. Moments later, Grace's shrill voice cut through the tense silence. Professor, I think wine is cheating. Wine looked up sharply, your heart thundering in your ears. Grace pointed dramatically toward the floor. Jungkook turned, his expression unreadable, and strode toward you both. Why are you lying? You said, your voice steady but burning with anger. Why would I cheat? Oh, really? Then what is this? She bent down, picked up the scrap of paper, and held it out toward Jungkook like a prize trophy. Jungkook's cold gaze met yours as he took the paper. So you thought you could cheat your way through this test? His voice was dangerously low, each word slicing through the air like a blade. The entire class turned to look at you, whispering behind cupped hands. You sat frozen, your mind reeling. How could everything crumble so fast? Especially when the man schooling you was your own husband. The classroom was suffocatingly silent, every breath heavy with tension. All eyes were pinned on you and Jungkook. The once invisible line between student and teacher now charged with something explosive. You stood up from your chair, hands trembling slightly as you clutched the strap of your bag. Your heart thudded painfully against your ribs. No, Professor, you sat, your voice cracking slightly. I don't know how this came here. Why would I cheat? Before you could explain further, Jungkook cut you off, his face carved from stone. Because, he said icily, you still had numericals left unsolved yesterday. Maybe you decided to take a shortcut. The words hit harder than any slap could have. Your mouth opened and closed helplessly. No, Professor, I swear I did not. But he didn't seem to hear your desperate protests. You are disqualified from this test, and I will personally make sure you are barred from appearing in the annual examinations. The ground seemed to slip beneath your feet. Your back slid a little down your arm as your knees weakened. Your eyes widened in horror. No, please, I worked so hard, almost 4 years of struggle. Please don't do this. Your voice was barely a whisper now, choked with the weight of disbelief and betrayal. You had always been a brilliant student, someone who poured her soul into her studies. How could your own husband, believe grace over you? Hard work, he sneered, folding his arms across his broad chest. Hard work in cheating. The entire class watched the scene unfold with bated breath. Some looked away awkwardly, others whispered behind cupped hands. Grace sat there too, fake innocence plastered over her face, though her eyes gleamed maliciously. Your vision blurred with tears, but you blinked them back, refusing to let him see you break. You slung your bag over your shoulder, your emotions finally exploding inside you. You spat, voice ringing out across the stunned classroom. A collective gasp echoed through the walls, even Grace's mouth dropped open in shock. No one, absolutely no one, had ever dared speak to Professor John Jungkook like that. Jungkook's jaw tightened, but he said nothing, his face an unreadable mask. There will be no more drama, he said, flatly, turning to the rest of the class. Continue your test. You're just having with fury and heartbreak. You stormed out of the classroom, the door slamming shut behind you with a deafening bang. The test was over, students left quietly, whispering to each other about the scene that had unfolded earlier. Jungkook gathered the test papers mechanically and made his way to his cabin, his steps heavy, his mind clouded. Pushing the door open, he froze in his tracks. You were there, sitting in his chair, looking like a wounded queen. Your bag lay abandoned by your feet, and your face was a perfect mask of cold defiance, though your eyes were still glassy with unshed tears. The room smelled faintly of sandalwood and old books, a sharp contrast to the storm brewing between you two. Jungkook shut the door behind him with a soft click and walked towards his desk, his expression stony. What are you doing here? He asked coldly, his voice a low rumble that filled the small cabin. You didn't flinch, you didn't move. You sat there like a volcano ready to erupt. You sat stiffly in his chair, your glare searing through him as he placed the test papers neatly onto his desk, pretending everything was normal. The cabin was eerily silent except for the ticking of the old wall clock, each tick pounding in your ears. So now you're acting incensed. Your voice sliced the silence like a blade, like you did nothing wrong. Jungkook didn't flinch, he simply shrugged lightly, keeping his face unreadable. I didn't do anything wrong. I believe what I saw. His casual tone, the way he avoided your eyes, made your blood boil. You stood up from the chair slowly, your fists clenching at your sides. Do you even know the meaning of trust, Jungkook? You hissed, have you ever trusted me even a little? For a moment, he said nothing. His eyes dark and stormy met yours, and then shifted awkwardly toward the pile of tests on the table. Pretending to organize them, you could see it, the guilt flickering behind his cold mask. You exhaled sharply, stealing yourself. Fine, I have a solution. He raised an eyebrow, slightly suspicious. Solution? You didn't answer him directly. Your eyes moved to the small table beside the leather couch where his sleek black laptop sat connected to its charger. Without hesitation, you marched over, yanked it free, and carried it to the main desk, slamming it down firmly. Dust moles danced in the sunlight streaming through the window as you opened the laptop lid with trembling fingers. What's the password? You demanded, your voice sharp and unwavering. Jungkook looked stunned as if he wasn't sure whether to scold you or obey you. What? He said stupidly. Are you deaf? You snapped. I said, what's the password? He swallowed thickly, shifted uncomfortably in place. His gaze darted anywhere but at you. The wall, the clock, the floor. It's your birthday, he muttered under his breath almost shyly. You blinked for a split second, feeling a wave of goosebumps rising on your arms, but anger quickly smoothed the feeling. Now was not the time to be sentimental. You tapped in your birthday, the keys clicking sharply under your fingers. The screen unlocked instantly. Moving swiftly, you navigated to the class live surveillance footage, something every exam room had for security. You clicked on the timestamp from earlier that morning. The footage loaded. You watched silently as it played the exact moment Grace scribbled something, looked around, and then tossed the small cheat note under your chair. Without saying a word, you spun the laptop around and shoved it towards Jungkook. Here, watch, you said icily. Jungkook leaned down, his face tightening as he watched the scene unfold in grainy black and white clarity. His jaw clenched, his hands balled into fists. I can't believe it, he hissed under his breath, sounding foreign and furious on his tongue. She lied, she set you up. I'm not going to leave her. He spun around furiously, ready to storm out of the cabin, but you grabbed his wrist tightly, stopping him. Don't. Your voice cracked, not with rage now, but with heartbreak. He turned, staring at you, and for the first time that day, he saw the raw pain swimming in your eyes. I'm so disappointed in you, Jungkook. You whispered, your grip loosening on his wrist. You trusted her, a stranger, instead of me. The words hung heavily in the air. Jungkook's entire posture shifted. His shoulders sagged slightly, and his face, once so hard and proud, now looked racked with guilt. He didn't say anything. He didn't know what to say. The weight of his mistake was suffocating both of you. Jungkook stood frozen, the laptop screen still showing Gray's betrayal in a loop, but his eyes were fixed only on you. On the hurt he had caused, he lowered his head slightly, his fists unclenching. I'm sorry, he whispered, the word so low that for a second you thought you imagined it. You stepped back from him, Crossing your arms tightly around yourself like armor. What am I supposed to do with your story, Jungkook? Your voice cracked, but you didn't care. Will your story erase the way you insulted me in front of the whole class? Will it erase the humiliation I felt? Each word stabbed him deeper, but you couldn't stop. You needed to let it out. You could see the way his chest rose and fell heavily, the tight clench of his jaw. You know me, you sad, tears pooling in your eyes again. You know I never cheated. Not once, not ever, but you still chose to believe someone else over me. Jungkook finally moved, taking a slow step closer, his hands half lifted as if he wanting to hold you, but unsure if he even had the right anymore. I know, he rasped, pain bleeding into his voice. I know you would never cheat. I was just. He trailed off, struggling. You turned your face away sharply. You were just what? You demanded bitterly. He exhaled shakily, running a hand through his messy black hair, messing it even further. I was under pressure, mind. He said, why strain? The university is already strict about rumors. If anyone thought I was favoring you because you are a top student, or worse, if they somehow suspected what we have, it could destroy everything. He squeezed his eyes shut for a second, breathing heavily. I panicked. I thought if I took your side without proof, they would think I'm biased. You stared at him, the truth of his words sinking in, but the hurt remained, rooted deep in your chest. I should have trusted you. He sat stepping closer again. His eyes were pleading now, full of regret. I should have protected you, not humiliated you, disqualifying you, saying those things. It was the worst mistake of my life. His voice cracked slightly at the end, his guilt written all over his face, carved deep into the fro of his brows, the tight press of his lips. But you shook your head slowly, your own heart breaking all over again. It doesn't change the fact that you chose the easy way. You whispered, you chose to protect your reputation over trusting me. You could see it, how your words cut him deeper than anything Grace ever could have done. The tension was suffocating now, thick, heavy, filled with all the words both of you had swallowed for too long. I don't care about the reputation anymore, he said hoarsely, stepping even closer until he was barely an inch away. I only care about you and I hurt you. I'm sorry, Vine. I'm so, so sorry. But you took another step back, your arms tightening around yourself. I'm disappointed in you, Jungkook. You said, voice hollow. More than angry, I'm just disappointed. You saw it, the way those words shattered something inside him. You had never seen Jungkook look so lost before. He stood there, helpless, as you turned away, blinking furiously to keep your tears from falling in front of him. You turned away from him, ready to leave, your heart heavy in your chest, but suddenly you felt a strong hand wrap around your wrist. No, please, don't go. His voice cracked with desperation. He tugged you gently but firmly towards him. I will compensate for everything. He whispered urgently, his eyes begging. Just give me a chance to fix it. You open your mouth to say something, anything, but before you could, Jungkook intertwined his fingers with yours and started pulling you out of the cabin. Your eyes widened, stunned, as he led you down the hallway with determined steps. The halls buzzed with the quiet murmurs of classes going on. The scent of chalk and old wood filled the air. You barely had time to gather yourself before he pushed open the door of your class. Inside, Mrs. Hahn was standing near the board, explaining some complicated English grammar. The students writing notes quietly. The door slammed lightly behind you. The room was silent. Jungkook walked forward with you, standing tall, commanding the entire class attention. Everyone, listen up. His voice was deep, firm, cutting through the stunned silence like a blade. I want to address what happened earlier. Every eye in the room, wide and anxious, focused entirely on him. I made a mistake. He turned slightly, his dark gaze scanning the class. I wrongly accused Vine of cheating, but after reviewing the security footage, I have solid proof that she was framed. A sharp collective gasp echoed through the room. Grace was the one who tried to set her up. He shot a cold, burning glance at Grace, who sat trembling in her seat, her face draining of color, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Effective immediately, Grace is disqualified from sitting in the annual exams, and the matter has been reported to the authorities. The police will handle the consequences from here. Grace let out a soft whimper, hiding her face in her palms. The class was dead silent. Even Mrs. Han looked frozen. Jungkook wasn't finished. He took a step closer toward the center of the room, his presence filling every inch of the air. And one more thing. His voice dropped slightly, dark, deep, and sharp. The girls in the room stiffened visibly under his intense stare. I said before that I was married. Today, I want you all to meet my wife, Mrs. Joan Wine. He gently pulled you forward to stand beside him. You felt the weight of 100 stares. Catherine's jaw dropped open, her pen slipping from her hand in shock. Your cheeks burned hot pink, but Jungkook didn't care. His hand moved protectively to your back, claiming you without shame. If anyone, he said, his voice dropping even lower, tries to harm her, insult her, or hurt her again. He smiled, but it was a dangerous, spine chilling smile. I will ruin them without mercy. The class collectively shrank back, fear flashing across every face. No one dared to speak, no one dared to even breathe loudly. Any questions? The silence that answered him was deafening. He smiled slightly satisfied. Good. He turned his head slightly, leaning close enough that only you could hear his warm breath brushing your ear. His voice dropped into something even darker, rougher, a promise wrapped in danger. You are mine, wine, and I will burn the whole world down before I let anyone touch you again.